I've been obsessing over the possibilities for the opening moments of Avengers Doomsday, and the more I look at the pieces laid out by the multiverse saga, the more I'm convinced that the movie won't start with a bang, but with a whimper. A beautiful, terrifying silence that shatters the one thing we thought was safe. I'm talking about the timeline where Steve Rogers finally got his dance. We have to go back to that perfect golden hour ending of Avengers Endgame, because I believe that is ground zero for the arrival of Doctor Doom. Imagine the movie opens not in a high-tech Wakandan lab or the ruins of the Avengers compound, but in the soft, idyllic glow of the 1940s or 50s. It's a picture postcard world, the kind of reality Steve dreamed of during his time in the ice. The camera should linger on the details, soaking in the piece that feels almost too good to be true. We see a modest White House with a porch, bathed in the warm amber light of a setting sun filtering through mature oak trees. It's quiet. The only sounds are the distant hum of a vintage radio playing a slow jazz standard and the gentle rustle of wind through the leaves. Sitting on that porch, looking out over a manicured lawn that has never seen an alien invasion, is Steve Rogers. But this isn't the young, hungry soldier, and it isn't the old man we saw hand off the shield. This is Steve in his prime, but softened by contentment. He's wearing a simple button-down shirt, sleeves rolled up, looking not at a battlefield but at the small child sitting on his lap. This connects directly to that fleeting image we saw in the promotional material, Steve holding a young boy. In my vision of this opening, the boy is playing with something that sends a jolt of recognition through us. The leather straps of an old heater shield. It's not polished vibranium. It's likely a prop or a relic, a toy in the hands of a child who has no idea of the weight that symbol carries. It's a profound image of war, transformed into domestic peace. Steve watches his son with a look of utter fulfillment. The fight is over. He made it home. From inside the house, through a screen door, comes the voice that guided him through his darkest hours. It's Peggy Carter, her tone light and affectionate, calling out, "Steve, dinner is almost ready. Don't let him get too dirty out there." Steve smiles, a genuine, unburdened smile. It's the life he chose, the reward he took after saving the universe. No more Avengers Assemble calls. No more Thanos, just family. And that is precisely when the universe begins to scream. It doesn't happen with an explosion. It's far more unsettling. I imagine the change begins subtly, something you feel before you see. The wind, which had been gently rustling the trees, just stops dead. It's an unnatural stillness, like the world is holding its breath. The ambient sounds of the 1950s evening crickets, distant cars, cut out completely. Then I notice something truly horrifying in this mental image. The physical world begins to glitch. A cluster of autumn leaves that were drifting down from the oak tree suddenly freeze in midair, suspended against the twilight sky, defying gravity. It's a visual cue that the fundamental laws of reality in this timeline are failing. On the porch, Steve's smile doesn't just fade, it vanishes, replaced instantly by the sharp, crystalline focus of a soldier who has spent a lifetime anticipating an ambush. The serenity of the husband is gone. Captain America is back, even without the uniform. His instincts scream that something is terribly, impossibly wrong. He instinctively pulls his son tighter against his chest, his body becoming a human shield, his eyes scanning the horizon for a threat that shouldn't exist here. Then the sky breaks. It's not the blue portal of the Tesseract or the orange sparks of a sorcerer's gateway. This is a violent wound in the fabric of the atmosphere. High above the idyllic suburban street, a jagged crack fissures across the sunset, glowing with a sickening, radioactive green energy. It makes no sound, which is somehow worse than thunder. It looks like reality itself is necrotic, rotting away from the inside out. Through this impossible tear in the sky, a figure descends. He doesn't fly like Iron Man or Thor. He lowers himself with absolute, terrifying control, as if gravity is just another subject he has mastered. He lands on the perfect green lawn in front of Steve's house, the grass instantly withering into gray ash beneath his metal boots. It is Dr. Doom. The design needs to be impeccable. A flowing cloak of deep emerald green, heavy and regal, contrasting sharply with the polished, cold steel of his full-body armor. And the mask, that iconic, emotionless metal visage that reveals nothing but reflects the terrified world back at itself. Doom stands there for a moment, surveying the 1950s Americana, with a look that I can only describe as profound disgust. He looks like a medieval warlord dropped into a Norman Rockwell painting. He doesn't draw a weapon. His mere presence is the weapon. He turns his armored head slowly toward the porch, locking eyes with Steve Rogers. When Doom speaks, his voice isn't shouting. It's a low, resonant, metallic rasp that seems to vibrate in your chest, sounding like it's coming from everywhere at once. So, Doom intones, his voice dripping with icy condescension. This is where Captain America went to hide. The weight of those words is crushing. He doesn't call him a hero. He accuses him of hiding. Steve stands slowly, placing his son gently behind him, motioning for the boy to go inside. Steve is unarmed. He has no shield, no backup, no plan. He is just a man in civilian clothes, standing between a god-tier threat and his family. Peggy appears at the screen door, wiping her hands on an apron, confusion quickly morphing into terror as she sees the armored figure on their lawn. "Steve?" she whispers, her voice trembling. "Who is he?" Steve doesn't take his eyes off Doom. He knows, on some instinctual level, that this isn't Hydra or Thanos. This is something far older, far more inevitable. Doom takes a slow, deliberate step forward, the sound of metal on dead grass echoing unnaturally loud in the silence. "I am the consequence," Doom declares, his gaze shifting briefly to the frightened child peering from behind Steve's leg. He looks back to Steve, his tone shifting from accusation to a chilling judicial verdict. "You are a man who broke time, all for comfort." This is where the theory really digs its claws in. I started connecting the dots between the rules of time travel established in Endgame and the chaos we've seen in the multiverse since. The Ancient One warned that taking stones creates branching realities. Cap returned the stones, yes, but then he did something else. He stayed. He lived a life that wasn't meant to be his. We all accepted it as a loophole, a happy ending earned by sacrifice. Doom is here to tell us we were wrong. Every universe is suffering, Doom continues, his voice rising slightly with restrained fury. Because you chose this life. Because you felt you deserved a retirement. Steve's jaw tightens. The accusation hits at the very core of his morality. He spent his life sacrificing for others. Taking this one slice of happiness for himself was the only selfish thing he ever did. "I earned this," Steve says, his voice gritty with defiance, channeling every ounce of the stubborn kid from Brooklyn. He steps forward, away from the porch, drawing the line in the sand. Doom tilts his head slightly, as if studying an interesting but particularly stupid insect. "No, Captain," Doom corrects him, the metallic timbre of his voice dropping to a terrifying whisper. "You stole it." What follows is the most unfair fight in MCU history. It needs to be painful to watch. Steve Rogers, the greatest hand-to-hand combatant of his generation, launches himself at Dr. Doom with everything he has. It's raw, desperate fury. He throws the punches that staggered Thanos, the kicks that shattered reinforced glass. But here, against this master of science and sorcery, it's meaningless. Doom doesn't even seem to be trying. He blocks Steve's strikes with casual flicks of his armored gauntlets, moving with a fluid precision that defies the bulk of his armor. He anticipates every move Steve makes before he even thinks of it. It's a brutal dismantling of a legend. Steve is fighting with pure heart, but Doom is fighting with the cold certainty of a mathematical equation. After a flurry of useless blows, Doom catches Steve's fist in one hand, stopping him dead. With a dismissive gesture, Doom unleashes a short-range burst of kinetic energy from his palm. It's not a massive blast, just enough to hurl Steve backward. Steve crashes onto the porch steps, winded, blood trickling from a cut above his eye. He struggles to rise, his body failing him against a power he doesn't understand. Peggy screams from the doorway, a sound of pure heartbreak that cuts through the tension. Steve looks up at her, agony in his eyes, not from physical pain, but from the realization that he cannot protect them. Doom doesn't press the attack. He walks slowly toward the fallen hero, towering over him. He isn't here for a fistfight. He's here to deliver a message. He looks down at Steve, then past him at the house. At the perfect life Steve built on a foundation of stolen time. This timeline, Doom pronounces, waving a hand at the frozen leaves and the darkening sky, is a disease. He turns his masked gaze back to Steve. And you are the pathogen. This is the core of my theory for Avengers Doomsday. Doom isn't a villain in his own mind. He's a cosmic surgeon. He believes that the Avengers, tampering with time in Endgame, and the subsequent multiversal chaos caused by Sylvie, Strange, and Wanda, has infected the foundational structure of reality. Steve's peaceful timeline isn't a reward. It's a parasitic growth, a branch that is drawing vital energy away from the main trunk of the multiverse, causing instability everywhere else. Doom hasn't come to conquer this world. He has come to prune it. He doesn't kill Steve. That would be too simple, too merciful. Doom wants Captain America to witness the ultimate consequence of his happy ending. He leans in closer, his metal mask inches from Steve's face. "Watch," Doom whispers, the single word carrying the weight of an execution order. "What your peace costs." Doom stands straight and raises his gauntleted hand. He doesn't need an infinity gauntlet. He holds the power of pure, arcane mastery over reality. With a sickeningly crisp, metallic sound, Dr. Doom snaps his fingers. The effect is instantaneous and horrifying. It's not the dusty dissipation of the blip. This is reality being unwritten. The edges of the world begin to dissolve into that same sickly green energy that tore the sky open. The beautiful oak trees turn to digital smoke. The white picket fence erases itself from existence. The sky above them ceases to be a sky, peeling away to reveal a churning, chaotic void of swirling colors and darkness beyond. The ground beneath Steve's feet becomes translucent. Steve scrambles backward on the dissolving porch, reaching for his family. Peggy grabs their son, pulling him into her arms, her face a mask of tear-stained terror, as the walls of their home begin to vanish around them. Steve reaches them, wrapping his arms around his wife and child in a futile attempt to hold their reality together with sheer will. He looks into Peggy's eyes one last time, a silent apology for the promises he couldn't keep, for the war he brought home. The green erasure closes in on them. The sound is deafening now, a cacophony of reality tearing itself apart. Doom stands amidst the annihilation, untouched, a stoic observer watching his judgment be carried out. The last thing we see is Steve Rogers, holding tight to the life he stole as the green light swallows them whole. The screen cuts to black. Absolute silence holds for 5 seconds. Then the title card crashes onto the screen, accompanied by a terrifying, mournful orchestral blast, Avengers Doomsday. This opening sets a totally different tone than anything we've seen before. It recontextualizes the entire Infinity Saga. It tells us that the Avengers' greatest victory was actually a cosmic transgression. By attacking Steve Rogers first, the moral compass of the MCU, the man who deserved peace more than anyone, Doom establishes himself instantly as a threat that transcends physical power. He attacks their ideology. He attacks their hope. He shows them that their heroism has consequences they never considered. The brilliance of this theory lies in how it handles Doom's motivation. He isn't just another power-hungry tyrant wanting to rule the multiverse. He is a man burdened with the terrifying knowledge that the multiverse is dying, and he believes he is the only one with the will to do what is necessary to save it. In his eyes, the Avengers are reckless children playing with forces that will destroy everything. They create chaos in the name of heroism, leaving fractured timelines and incursions in their wake. Steve's branch reality is just the most egregious example. A timeline created purely out of selfish desire that is destabilizing the greater structure. Doom sees himself as the necessary evil, the hard reset that the universe requires to survive. He is pruning the dead wood so the tree can live. This makes Doom infinitely more dangerous and compelling, because, in a twisted, terrifying way, he might be right. The multiverse is breaking. We've seen the incursions in Multiverse of Madness, we've seen the fraying timelines in Loki. The Avengers' actions have had consequences. Doom is just the bill coming due. By starting the movie with the destruction of Steve's happy ending, Marvel would be pulling the rug out from under the audience, forcing us to question everything we celebrated in Endgame. It's a bold, devastating move that immediately raises the stakes to an impossible level. The Avengers aren't just fighting for survival this time, they are fighting to justify their entire existence as heroes in the face of a judge who has already found them guilty. This isn't just a movie opening. It's a declaration of war on the very idea of the Avengers' legacy. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the potential opening of Avengers Doomsday and want to see more theories that break down the MCU layer by layer, please take a second to hit that like button. Share this with your fellow Marvel fans to get the conversation going, and make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss the next breakdown. The multiverse is getting messy, and we're going to need to stick together to figure it out.